So today is the day we are going to be officially looking at my entire Cartoon Network / mixed cartoon room. We're going to be going in depth and looking at every square inch of this place together, so let's do it. Welcome home, Red Pack. Marcus here, and welcome to Comfort Cartoons, the show where I collect absolutely everything from the late 90s, 2000s, all the way till the modern day. And I hope you beautiful people are having an amazing day, and if you guys aren't, you know the drill. Cartoon Network camera flip. It's about to get a whole lot brighter, Rep Pack, because your boy is here. And today is a big day because we are going to be looking at my entire office here. Many of you guys may know me for my Nickelodeon collection in the Cartoon Cavern, where we film a majority of the episodes of this show. But this is Comfort Cartoons, where I collect pretty much everything that involves animation. But I haven't been able to do an updated collection tour of the Cartoon Network room in a while. So today we are going to be doing that. If you haven't seen the original video, if you have seen the original video that uploaded like over a year ago, then there's some stuff that's going to be the same, but there's a lot of new stuff for sure. And if you've never seen the original one, then you're in for a whirlwind because everything will be new to you. But I am extremely excited because we've changed a lot in here, and I'll talk about those changes as we go through it. We're going to start from the entrance of the door, talking about the little small intricate details of the collection. It's going to be a video where I talk a lot about one of my favorite things in the world to talk about, and that is cartoons, and especially the merchandise and collectibles that goes with them. So let's go ahead and start with the front door. So walking into the room, I don't really know where to start here. I think we should just start with the first thing you see, which is right ahead with the Scooby Doo, Foster's Home, like the main Cartoon Network section, and then we'll work our way through more of the Scooby stuff and then into the Pokemon. So let's go ahead and just do this. I'm gonna try my best to get this right. So coming into the room, again, we'll cover all of this. But we're gonna start here and then work our way there so we can finish up with the Pokemon stuff. Alright, so coming in, we'll start here with this shelf because this is kind of the split line between Pokemon and everything else. So starting off here, we'll go to the top. We have a mystery machine right there with Shaggy and Scooby. I think Scooby might be inside the mystery machine. And then we also have Scooby Doo Clue Game. We have the Scooby Doo Monopoly. And then over here we have the Cartoon Network Can't Top This. And that is a really cool set because growing up, I remember opening up so many boxes of cereal and trying to get the little bags that came with those tops in the Kellogg's cereal. They had Johnny Bravo, Dexter, the Powerpuff Girls, and that's actually the display box that they would have inside of the store back in the day to kind of advertise that Kellogg's was doing this. And they didn't only do them with Powerpuff Girls and Cartoon Network, they also did them with Pokemon too. You can see one of the Pokemon ones right here, the Pikachu one. But I have it closed up there because they make like nice little billboards. I love stuff with shelf appeal where when you walk in the room you can look up and you know it kind of just summarizes what you might be getting into here a little bit. You got a little bit of Cartoon Network and then a lot of Scooby Doo. So up here we have Jake the Monkey, who is also voiced by our main man Tom Kenny of Spongebob SquarePants. This plushie, when I got it, like I think I got it for like 10 bucks, but I did not realize as of now that this plushie is like ridiculously rare. Like they didn't make a lot of Cartoon Network plushies, so some of these plushies can be like $100 and up just for single characters. So I'm really glad that I got the Jake one there because he looks really cool kind of hanging out there. And then right below Jake we have Bubbles. These are some sets that come with some of the villains and also like a little aura energy, like a little Susano for the character. We have Bubbles, Blossom, and also Buttercup. And you see them right here too, as well, along with him and the chase for him from the Funko Sodas line. And up there, I believe those are from the Powerpuff Girls board game. But I have the girls kind of like I don't usually ever have any of them by themselves, so you'll see them reappear in a group of 3 throughout the collection here. But it's so hard to like get everything because I keep missing stuff like this right here. This is the Chase Metallic Superman Bugs Bunny that they released for the 100-year anniversary's mystery line set Warner Brothers put out. And almost everything you see in this room, there's probably a video on this channel of me picking it up, like a majority, I'd say 90%. So stick around and you'll get to see this continue to grow. But coming down a little further, I think I got everything there. We have Bender right here. Again, this is where it kind of gets a little bit mixed up because I know Bender is not Cartoon Network, but it's kind of a variety room, but heavy Cartoon Network. We have Bender right there. He's smoking on a cigar. And then we have the Hypno Toad. It's a baby Hypno Toad. Toad. If you guys don't know the Hypno Toad, here he is. I'm sorry for whatever lasting effects that may leave you. I still haven't figured them out completely, but I feel like it's changed me a lot as a human being. And the fact that I have one in my room probably doesn't help. So this is a baby Hypnotoad. He even has a little collar on there and comes a little certificate of adoption. Below them, we have some Funko Pops, which is any collection, you have to have a couple Funko Pops and they just kind of end up there, right? We have the Toonami's Tom. I mean, that's how they rope you in with the Funko Pops. Some of them you just get because you love Funko Pops or you love the characters, but some you're like, well, they are sometimes doing some stuff that you can't get figures of anywhere else. Like the amount of Toonami merchandise that exists is very, very limited. And what does exist is usually extremely exclusive stuff that was made for employees. So the fact that they actually made a Toonami Funko Pop is really kind of an obscurity, and I'm glad that I was able to pick that one up. We also have Daria, which, I mean, we're going everywhere. We got freaking Fox, we got Comedy Central there in the same area, and then we also got MTV cartoons like Daria here, and I picked this one up at release too. Both of these I think I got around the same time, and all of these shows are from my childhood, and this is my main office. You'll see my desk chair over here. This is where I work. It's where I upload many of the videos that you guys see here. I edit some of the videos on the archive channel. I do all my main work in this room right here. So when I want to be in that spongy Nickelodeon mood, which is like my heart, I go out to the Cartoon Cavern. But this is the room where I work, and you know, the stuff that kind of just sparks my interest and kind of summarizes a lot of little things about my childhood in one form or another. This is where it happens because I can only fit so many things inside this room. So I just like to add little sprinkles of all the different things from my childhood to kind of inspire me and to make me happy. And also, there is a hidden SpongeBob in this room. Every collection that I have, whether it's anime, Shadow the Hedgehog, I have a lot of collections. Welcome to the show. Every single one has a hidden SpongeBob in it because that's my main guy. It will always be. So if you can find the hidden SpongeBob in this video, let me know. But going down here, we have a little South Park section here. We have South Park, the Fractured Butthole. And then below them, we have some snow globes. Yeah, I know. I shook Kenny. I'm a bastard, sorry. We have Kenny there, we have all of the characters from South Park. You know, and often in South Park it's snowing, so I thought it was kind of cool to find snow globes that kind of match and give you a little representation of the main crew there. We also got a little Entei here on top of Kyle there. And you'll see it kind of divide here because this is where I kind of made it a little merger because, you know, we're going to be going in to the Cartoon Network section, but we're carrying out of the Pokemon section at this point in the room. And then below them, another series you don't really see many action figures for. We have King of the Hill, one of my favorite shows in the world. You got Dale and Hank there, and then right next to them you got Stan Smith. But in the middle there, again, you get to see the girls there, and they're kind of like a little mascot of this room. You'll see all three of them kind of, you know, littered throughout the room as a group. Above that, we have the Giggity Golf Balls, and that is from when I went to the Real Life Family Guy set to play a game of mini golf. And if you haven't seen that video, it's on the channel too. Above that, we've got Stewie Griffin there, and he's sitting on the little earth there because this is back in the day, you know, when Stewie's main goal was still to take over the world. So he's sitting on the globe there. Right over here, you got the characters from Squirrel Boy, a very obscure Cartoon Network show that probably most people don't remember. If you remember it, shout out to you. Left of that, and you also have my Giggity Golf scorecard back there too. And then you have a little Powerpuff Girls card album here, which has some of the cards in it. We have a Golden Johnny and a regular Johnny right there. Again, Johnny Test was a big part of my childhood, early morning cartoon for me before going to school. So I had 2 extra golds. I figured to throw them up here. And then the regular classic Johnny. And next to this, we got a variety of different characters. From My Gym Partner's a Monkey, again, Squirrel Boy, you got Duck Dodgers there. You even got Double D here on a skateboard. And these are, I think most of these came from Subway. During a campaign era they had with Subway, Cartoon Network was releasing a lot of different toys you could pick up there, as well as like this Courage one. And being, again, that some of these shows like Courage the Cowardly Dog, this is like one of the only pieces of merch you can actually get for Courage, is these like Subway launcher toys. And they can be like freaking 15, 20, 30 bucks sealed, because if you like Courage and you want merch, that's what you got. I mean, not everybody can be Scooby, where they have the toilet paper, socks, shoes, undershirts, suits, ties. Basically your life can be Scooby Doo. But then right below that, we also have Space Ghost here. I think this is from a Carl's Jr. campaign they were doing for a while, which I wish I would have taken more advantage of. I think that's the only one I got was Space Ghost here. We got Finn right here, which is released by Kid Robot in jumbo form. And then we got a few more characters here. We have Ice King, we have Lumpy Space Princess, Finn and Jake. And then you have this awesome little statue here of the Ice King there. Here, and I believe this was released for Loot Crate. One of the best things to come out of Loot Crate. Right next to him, we've got the Powerpuff Girls again. Like I said, they're gonna keep showing back up. We got Buttercup, Blossom, and Bubbles. These we picked up not that long ago. Believe it or not, they had these at $5 below. $5 each on these guys. An amazing, amazing deal. And we'll continue on with this shelf in a moment here. I just don't want to skip over this part. So on this shelf here, we have Yumi, and she's actually like a little like early animatronic. She doesn't really do much, but see if her batteries are still good. She kind of just rocks her arms, which I think maybe she did more at one point, but there you go. She rocks her arms. It gives you a little side eye there real quick and then looks forward. She doesn't do a lot, but believe it or not, I found that Yumi in like the most disgusting, like brain damage box you can imagine. Like all of the paint was peeling off of it. The box, like the plastic was oxidized from sun damage. It was in a garage sale and I paid $2 for it and opened it up and it looked brand spanking new. So, I mean, the packaging really helped keep things together. I did open it because the packaging was so bad. It was beyond like trying to keep it in the box sealed, you know? So I opened it up and I hope I can get the Ami to go with it eventually. And if you don't know what that is, then Ryan probably already put a clip up on screen for you guys, you know, when I first mentioned her, because another obscure show, and the band that is the characters of that show actually makes the theme song for these guys, the Teen Titans. Okay, and then right behind her, you'll see all these adorable little micro-sized Pokemon figures. You got Pikachu all the way down to Charmander down there. And these actually came from the Pokemon Monopoly set that we popped up on screen here for you. The only starter not represented here is Bulbasaur, of course. And I think that's okay because most people didn't represent him in general. So he gets some representation in here though. You'll see him around here. All right, but that is from the original set there. I thought they were so freaking adorable. I just had to take them out of the box and put them on this little display here. And it says Welcome Trainers, this sign back here, which you can barely see now because it has so much stuff in front of it. But it's Welcome Trainers and it has the original starters down there. And that's the sign they're hanging out on. And another piece that's a part of my childhood that, you know, it has a lesser place, you know, so that's why it's got a little small little representation. We have the original Digimon. This is for Digimon Evolve, I believe, the classic collection they released. That's kind of a redo of the original card game right there. You got the Metal Greymon on there. Growing up, you know, being a Pokemon fan, I opened up my fair share of Digimon cards too, just circumstantially ended up with them. And then this is another Digimon booster box that an amazing subscriber here on the channel sent me. And then again, we have that Courage I just showed you guys. Then next up here, we have my personal choice of starter. I mean, I know it's very, very like basic, typical choice, but I always went with Charmander, of course. I mean, come on. You're telling me I can pick between a toad with a flower on its back, a turtle, and a dragon? Yeah, okay, I'm sorry. I was a little boy, and of course, I was gonna pick the dragon to spit fire. Okay, so I went with Charmander, and he was kind of my buddy growing up, you know? So I wanted to have this little Charmander statue. Just looking at him fills me with so much nostalgia of playing the game as a kid, walking through Generation 1, and then also Leaf Green, and always been there for me, so I wanted to have a Charmander in here. And helping keep Charmander's tail lit, we have Heat Blast here. But behind that, we actually have like a pretty awesome piece here. This is the original booster box that came out for Yu-Gi-Oh! This is the first ever booster box. You know, I kind of got that one just to represent it. I did the same thing for Pokemon, you'll see down there. I got like the first ever one because these are the cards that I remember opening the most as a kid. I don't have much of a Yu-Gi-Oh! Collection. The Yu-Gi-Oh! Was definitely, again, there was that thing right next to Pokemon. Like, as a lot of people got out of Pokemon, they got into Yu-Gi-Oh! And, you know, I dabbled in it a little bit. I loved watching the series on WB, and I didn't want to have like a whole shelf in here because, you know, it's not as big as some of the other things here. But if I could kind of summarize a collection for Yu-Gi-Oh! I did by getting this right here, which is the original booster box for the series. This awesome figure by Kotobukiya of a Tim, which is the Pharaoh version of Yugi. He just looks so awesome there, and I love that arc of just finding out more about a Tim as a character altogether. And then my favorite character, signed by the voice actor, we have Yami Merrick. So I have these three to kind of represent my love for Yu-Gi-Oh! And I have a little bit more down there. I mean, come on, you gotta have those three. Exodia, Dark Magician, and the original Blue Eyes. But, you know, other than that, that kind of summarizes my Yu-Gi-Oh! Collection there. Then going down here, we have my Pokemon card binders, and this is not even close to all of them. At one point, this whole shelf was full of binders, but I did put some of the binders in a storage space that I have in order to kind of minimize the amount of space that was just for binders, that some were already full and I wasn't going into anymore. And they're all pretty much full of just cards that I either collected on camera or off camera, you know, just for some examples. But then some are just like, they're not really the most interesting. They're just filled with a bunch of doubles, you know, so it's like they're cool, but at the same time, do I look at them every single day? Probably not. And if I do look at cards, I'm usually gonna grab these right here, which are like my PSA cards, because you get to see them in a nice little protector. You could take it out and take a good look at them without having to worry about them getting damaged and stuff like that. And you can see there's quite a few in here, but you know, I love Pokemon, like I said, so cards are a great way to like represent that for me. And I will look at these right here, which are, I've only in my entire Pokemon collecting career only completed 3 sets of cards, and they're in these right here. Like for example here, this is the original Evolution set. Of course, you know, I went hard on that. As a nostalgic guy myself, I had to go hard on the original re-release here of Evolutions. So this is what I'll usually do if I really want to look at cards in general. I have these binders and those PSAs there. Rarely do I go into these ones, but they're not completely full yet, so that's why they're still in here. And down here too, we have my first ever collectible, I guess, if anything. This plushie is the first toy I can really ever remember having. After him, it was a Woody doll from Toy Story, and I still have that Woody to this day. This is actually not the original plush of the dog that I had. I think his tag name is called Tracker, like what his official name is, but I called him JJ. This is a new version of him. I have the original JJ still with the same grime from my childhood on it in my bedroom, actually. It's on my nightstand, and you know, JJ always looked over me as a kid, so I figure, you know, he's been keeping me alive this far. I've let him just keep doing the job. I'm not gonna, you know, get rid of the guy now. so JJ's still there. Maybe I'll grab him or show you guys in a moment. Then next to that, because I don't really have the space quite yet for them, I'm trying to figure out what I want to do with them all. These are all comic books. These are all Cartoon Network comic books. We received these in the mail, or some I picked up myself, but they're regular show comic books. They have some Adventure Time comics in here, Over the Garden Wall, some more Adventure Times. They're just different comic books, you guys can see. But I need to get like a nice little like comic book box to put them all into. But for right now, this is kind of what I'm doing with them. I'm just putting them in this little stack here. I felt like he was getting left out, so I wanted to go grab him. This is JJ. He is not the cleanest guy ever, for sure. Some of these stains, I feel like I've never remembered them not being on him, so I must have gotten stuff on him as a kid, and you know, at this point, it's like, I'm not gonna wash him. Some of this grime is literally stuff that I did as a child that probably shouldn't have been doing, but at the same time, yeah, that's kind of his history. You can see he's a pretty dirty guy when you compare him to the brand new one here, but he's still intact, you know. Big shout out to the Thai company for stitching him up pretty dang good. Okay, so then coming down here, we're almost at the bottom of the shelf here. We have a box of Pokemon cards here. This is from a series called Champion's Path. A really cool box set. I just thought it looked cool here. This is a Pokedex. I do have this Pokedex actually in better condition, and I also have one sealed in the collection, but sometimes I will go down here and play with this little Pokedex, and this one actually is missing the hinge on the door, but it's just a cool little piece to look at, and for the nostalgia of actually using it, I'll usually use this one. We have Yami Yugi there, as well as Exodia, as well as a pack there, a Pharaoh Servant. We also have a little old school Yu-Gi-Oh binder there. And then of course the three, like, you know, main cards when it came to the original series of Yu-Gi-Oh. You have Yugi's Exodia's head there. You have the Dark Magician, Yu-Gi-Oh's main monster, and the main monster of Seto Kaiba. And at one point, you know, Yugi's grandpa, the Blue Eyes White Dragon. And then right next to this, we have a uncut sheet of the original Pokemon set Fossil. We'll take a look at that box a little bit later as we go into it, but you can see it has actual packs there. And those packs, they were cut and then wrapped on to the actual booster pack from this sheet right here. So this is an example, or not an example, but this is like the sheet that they would use to put onto the actual cards. And then this one is a sheet for base set here. So yeah, these are like the images of my childhood. I remember opening these packs up so much, and you know, just being able to see them uncut and just seeing the artwork completely unfolded is a really cool piece. So I have those down here, just kind of as little corner pieces. And I hope I'm not talking like too much in this video, but I just want it to be in depth. So for those of you guys that have been wanting to see and know more about this room, you get to really know as much as I can possibly give you. So now let's work into this section. I think we'll just come from here down and work through this, and then we'll go over here. Okay, so I mean, this is part of this. This is actually a Foster's Home for Imaginary Friends debut banner, essentially. So this was actually in the Subway restaurant during one of the promotions where they had Foster's Home for Imaginary Toys. I love Foster's Home. Another, if it wasn't for a regular show, I would say it's in my like contender for #2 favorite Cartoon Network show. So I love seeing that piece right there, the Foster's Home banner. Next to that, we have Ben 10, and I love these figures, but these are from the reboot of Ben 10. I would love to get some of the original figures eventually to come up here on the wall. I just haven't changed those out because I really don't know what else fits in that particular of a slot. So that's just what's there, and it's okay because I love Diamond Head, I love Heat Blast, and I love Accelerate. As a kid, Accelerate was always my favorite, so I don't really mind because it's just the aliens. Then, like I said, the girls reappear here. We have Blossom, Buttercup, and Bubbles, and I found all three of them at different times. I found Buttercup at a flea market, Blossom at a thrift store, and then Bubbles in like a antique mall type situation. So I found all three of them at different times, and they all eventually came together. Then behind that, we have Corridor Chaos, which will pop up a better image of it on screen here. From Foster's Home, it's a Foster's Home for Imaginary Friends board game. Then below that, I thought another little cool tie-in piece. You can see me pick this up on the channel as well. This is from Loungefly. I think one of the greatest Loungefly bags they've ever made. We have the Foster's Home bus. I mean, how iconic is Madam Foster's bus? Really, it's just the gateway of so many awesome episodes and adventures. So we have the Foster's bus right there. I think it fits in perfectly. And then we have the girls again. We have the Powerpuff Girls there and this little star-shaped tin. Now below this is one of my favorite items and one of the only pieces of merchandise that exists, if not the only publicly released merchandise of Flapjack. So Flapjack does not have any merch at all. He never had anything come out besides this tin right here. So there's this tin and then this, but this is also not publicly released. So this right here, and Flapjack is one of my favorite shows. If you guys don't know how much I love SpongeBob, I love SpongeBob obviously. You guys have seen my other room. And the whole show of Flapjack is a pirate vibe. It all takes place on Starmalong Harbor, which is like the harbor town, which I live in Southern California, and the beach is a big core of just all my memories really. So I feel very at home on the harbor there. And then on top of that, like the creator of that show also worked on SpongeBob. Like in some ways I like to imagine it as like a spiritual like spin-off of SpongeBob that takes place above water. It's an amazing show if you haven't seen it, but I love Flapjack, so I'm glad that we have something in here with him on it. Then below that we've got Mojo Jojo, we've got Finn there, we've got a little suction cup Diamond Head figure there. Then back here, this is a complete set of all the different characters from the Class of 3000. And if you haven't seen Class of 3000, it stars Andre 3000, of course, the you know, sorry Miss Jackson, woo, that guy, yeah. Except for it's like in a school of rock style setup where he's teaching these kids, you know, music and stuff like that. And this is actually an employee only figure set they released to give out to employees that were working on the shows at that time. And I ended up finding this guy for about 20 bucks, you know, as a part of a bunch of other Cartoon Network stuff. So I basically paid about $20 for this set, and I think it goes for around $200 to $300 now. So I'm really happy with that pickup. And another thing that doesn't have much representation, so to remember that part of my childhood, it's cool to have at least something here. Even got little D right there. Then below this we have, these are some figures that were kind of made to kind of be representative of Blue from Foster's Home for Imaginary Friends, and like an artistic like fashion. So there's these different, they're like Blue's body shape, but then, you know, colored in their own different way with different artist renditions on them. So really cool little setup here, and just kind of has a nice little shelf appeal with everything else. Then this right here here is a notebook that was given out to employees at Cartoon Network Studios back when that was still a thing, RIP. And then we have a Cartoon Network hotel pin. And this is also my room key when I went to the Cartoon Network Hotel. If you guys don't know, there's a Cartoon Network Hotel in Pennsylvania. An amazing experience I had getting to go there. And these are the room keys as well as my room number there. Has all the hotel amenities there. The Dutch Wonderland, which is right next door. And some of the other things you can do there with Jake there and some, you know, Buttercup. Really cool little piece for me to have as a memory. And then, like I said, this box right here, it's a employee only release product. Again, we got Flapjack on the front of it. And that box actually at one point contained all of these figures right here. And again, these were never publicly released. So there is a Flapjack, but that was never a publicly released product. And technically you couldn't buy this either, but it was a promo that you could get if you pre-ordered the game. So these were all located inside that box, but I thought the box was so cool. And again, it's got Flapjack on it. I had to put it up here, you know, just so I could see him, you know, hanging out there. And then we also have Blossom there. We have Sylvester here that is Eden Tweety. And then we have this epic statue from the Warner Brothers store of the Brain. And this is a really cool piece. And this was actually given to me by my friend Parker, who was actually a cameraman on this show and many of my other shows here on YouTube. And he said that, you know, like if somebody's the kind of the brain of the operation and it's you, so he got me the brain. I thought that was really, really nice of him. I don't think my brain's that big, but I try. I try my best. But it was very sweet of him. And he got me that, and I'll always cherish it. So we have the brain there. Back here, this is a prototype pin for the show Camp Lazlo. And you can see right there, it's got just a little plastic protector on it. This is a pin that they never released publicly, but they did have some prototypes that were left over, so I managed to pick one of those up. And then right below the Foster's bus here, we have this awesome Racing Champions epic like Scooby Doo car. I love the green on it. It just fits in so well with the Scooby Doo vibe we're gonna get into, so I put that there. Behind that, we have the girls again. We have Buttercup, Blossom, and Bubbles on the original Powerpuff Girls Monopoly, which I found at a thrift store actually on this show. Right next to that, we've got Trick or Treat Scooby Doo Door Greeter. This is for Halloween, but Scooby's the only character, or one of the few characters, where Halloween kind of just fits his vibe anyway, so I didn't have to take him down just because Halloween was over. He still fits in perfect. And another one of my loves, as you probably saw Bender over there, is Futurama. So we have the original Funko Pops for Fry, Leela, Bender, Zach Brannigan, Zoidberg, keeps going, Robot Devil, and then also Professor Farnsworth, and I ran out of space, so Nibbler is randomly over here next to the Animaniacs. I don't know, felt like maybe he could just be like a third weird, strange cousin. Okay, so now on to the cubicle shelf. Okay, so starting in this shelf, and sorry if it's a little bit dusty in some spots, it's a lot to dust. We have a bunch of different Teen Titans stuff. There's the complete series of Teen Titans. We also got that in the mail series here. We have Red X, which was always my favorite character growing up. We have Raven there. We have a little pin there with all the crew on there. Back when Funko still did one of my favorite series they ever did, which is the Rock Candies. They had these awesome like sculptures of the different characters. So I have 3 of the different Raven ones they released, as well as the Starfire one. Back there, I believe that is a Teen Titans like handheld game system. That's a Robin like classic kids drink cup. We have the Teen Titans Go Red X there. And then below that, that is a box of the Teen Titans TCG. And then left of that, we have Teen Titans versus Teen Titans Go movie. Really, really cool like idea there too. So, and I love both Teen Titans Go and Teen Titans, and you can see it came in from Rummage Bins in 2023. So I have that all there. Then this is my little Blue Regard sanctuary here. Every blue figure that I've been able to acquire we have in here. We have this soccer ball, which was an employee only release like soccer ball for Foster's Home. These I believe were like, I want to say like Wendy's and then also Subway, like I said. So we have Blue right there. We have a little pin back there with Mac and Blue in it. Mr. Harryman, Eduardo. This one came from a Kid Robot too. It's an Eduardo. And then this is a original Funko Wacky Wobbler that glows in the dark, and he still glows in the dark pretty well today. And that was actually probably one of like the first ever Cartoon Network items that I picked up, like back when I was still living at my mom's house. I had picked that up, and I think this Foster's Home Subway banner here, and those were like my first ever like little pieces to kind of decorate my room and be nostalgic in the little space that I had. But Never knew it was gonna grow into all this. Okay, then next to that we have the TCG shelf. This is sealed boxes of the Ben 10 card game, the Samurai Jack card game, the Powerpuff Girls, and then also Dexter's Laboratory. Really cool in there. You get the Grim Reaper, another character that you don't see a lot of merchandise for, so I'm glad that we got this little Kid Robot set here. We'll just keep working our way down. Next up here we have the Animaniacs, kind of like Warner Brothers section here. This is just loaded up with a bunch of different Tiny Toons, Animaniacs, Looney Tunes, different plushies and figures. Sometimes I don't know what to do with these cubicles, so I just kind of load them up. So there's a variety in here. Next shelf we have over here is another kind of like, you know, a little bit variety shelf. We have all three of the girls from the Powerpuff Girls there again. We have BMO up there. We have Grizz there from We Bare Bears. I love myself some We Bare Bears too. And I think that's like the only real thing I have in here besides like their Funko Pop. So I'm glad if I have to have one of them, I'm gonna have Grizz. You guys let me know what your favorite bear is. We got Cyborg right there. We have the Wile E. Coyote right there. And then another Mojo Jojo. This little pocket here is kind of like my little adult animation shelf here. We have Beavis and Butthead toilet paper right there. Officially licensed Beavis and Butthead toilet paper. So you can wipe your butt head. And then we have an officially licensed Duff beer up there. And it's another Duff beer inside of that container over there, but that's a Slurm like drink cozy. We got Rick up there next to Scary Terry. We got the OG Bart Simpson Carl's Jr. plushie there with his skateboard. Little zombie Homer. Raj is I don't even know why Raj is in here from Camp Lazlo. He completely is unrelated, but for some reason Raj is here. And then we have the two Toxic Rick and Toxic Mortys, as well as I think that's a Toxic Rick drink back there, and a Operation Phoenix like energy drinks. They're two different Rick and Morty energy drinks. And then again, some more Futurama figures there. And you even got the little golden Buddha Homer Simpson. And sorry if the lighting's a little weird here, guys. I just have like one light in here I'm working with. I mean, the room light is not that bright. I mean, it is in person, but on camera it's not. So I'm trying to work with it the best I can. But you're gonna have a couple shelves in here that are really empty. And that is because at one point, all of this stuff was in these shelves. But since we got all this new shelving here, it opened up a lot here, which is good because I'm always adding new stuff. Doing this show, we're constantly adding new stuff to the collection. Some stuff goes, some stuff stays, and it develops, but we always need extra space. So we have like a lot of new space here too. So I'll show you the empty shelves, but you know, just know why they're empty. So in here, this is the PC game for Space Jam. We have a Pinky plushie here from Pinky and the Brain, and that actually came in like a baggie of plushies, like a bunch of plushies that was $4, and it actually came with Pinky with the tag built on it. It was an amazing deal. We have this little bin tin like pickup light here. You can set it down. He lights up, you lift it up, and he has a little flashlight on the bottom there. And then this is a recent pickup. This is a Pinky and the Brain snow globe. Found this at a garage sale too, and I paid only $15 for it. And it's really cool because it's kind of like an opposite snow globe. You'll see there's water in there, but there's also like an oil one. It says Bad Chemistry, and if you flip it over, got the Warner Brothers logo there, mix it up, it makes like this bubbly concoction, and you can see it kind of like bubbles up and like sends little like water bubbles upward into the oil, and it's just kind of like almost like a reverse snow globe. A really strange take on that that I love. So, and it's all in like a little potion bottle, as you can see there on like a switch. So got that right there. That's, like I said, relatively new here. This is my plushies, little plushie corner here. We have a couple Steven Universe plushies there, as well as a big size Steven here. And we have my rainbow monkeys that are green and orange to represent my Nickelodeon love. And that is both Rancho and Cucamonga. Left one is Rancho, and I believe the orange one is Cucamonga. Sometimes I get them mixed up, but I think that's Rancho and that's Cucamonga. You got BMO there, you got Zombie Jake, and then also this little not facing us Dexter tape measure. And over here, this is probably one of the worst things I have to show you, although I love them. This is an infestation, a rat infestation of Jerry's. He has taken up a cubby hole recently. There's more of them. These are just the ones that I could fit in this cubby hole, and then I could show you guys right now. There's even some back there. You can see Jerry back there as a piece of cheese. He has taken over a part of this room, and he's one of my least favorite characters in all of Cartoon Network history. But nonetheless, he has a whole shelf. So, like I said, some blank shelves here, because this was where all my Scooby Doo VHSs were at one point, which are now moved, and this was where all my Scooby Doo books were that are now moved as well. But there's just this one Pokemon book here, this Pokemon handbook, and why does he have a? I don't even know why. I think this goes to Dexter. It must have fallen down here. I'm glad that my dog didn't actually get to this, but I don't know. What were you plotting, Pikachu? Why do you have a gun? I'm pretty sure this went to the Dexter. That is sus. Alright, but anyway, next to this is just some sleeves in there for DVDs, but that was books at one point. But now it's space for new stuff. And speaking of books, one of my favorite things in this room is this is my, oh sorry, this is Hippie Bugs Bunny. Behind Hippie Bugs Bunny, we have this little, I don't even know what this is called. I really don't know. Maybe you guys can let me know in the comments. But one of these things, you know, you smack on as a kid. It's got these little drumsticks that go with it. But you have all of the characters of the Flintstones and then randomly just Scooby Doo and Yogi Bear at the end. This is from like 1978 or something like that. I found this again out in the wild somewhere. It's still at the packaging, but I opened it up because I just thought it was really cool. These are all Scooby Doo books here, different mysteries within them all, and I love anything Scooby Doo, and I love any story that I haven't heard with Scooby Doo. So this one I think actually has a very similar What's New Scooby Doo episode, but we have the opera ogre here. We have the rock and roll zombies. These are all different mysteries here from Scooby Doo. These are some of the pamphlets from the Scooby Doo News and the Scooby Doo and the Mystery Club. We got this from a member of the Rep Pack who's trying to grow one of the biggest Scooby Doo collections, so he's helped us out a lot with getting a couple of these items in here. We have the Scooby Doo card game box there. These are some regular card games, you know, regular cards, some boomerang ones. And then back here is one of the only like non-licensed items that I have in the room. And this is Plank here. You know, my main man Johnny from Ed, Edd and Eddy. Kind of like, you know, certain characters like those mascots for a show. Like you don't even really have to like show like the main character or, you know, say the show's name. You just show this character and you kind of know what it's from. Like, for example, Reptar here. Like, you know, Reptar is like the mascot of Rugrats. Like he's not any of the Rugrats, but if you see Reptar, like you know what he's from, and it kind of is just symbolizes that, the show. And I think Plank is kind of that guy for Ed, Edd and Eddy. Like you just see him and you just, I'll never forget those old school bumpers they had of like Plank just kind of like on a swing set and like him just kind of living his life. He was kind of always there, so I'm glad to get him as another mascot for this room. So coming up here to the top, we have this little Burger King ad right here, and this is I think for like a racing series they were doing at Burger King of Toys. You can see you have Dino back there and Fred, you got Scooby, some of the wacky racers, just different characters that were all on it. So I thought it was really cool and I hung it up there. Like a nice little variety again. But here's like my start of my Scooby Doo stuff. It's kind of throughout the room, but we have the Scooby Doo shelf here. This is really cool. We have this from 1980, this original Scooby Doo and Scrappy Doo lunchbox. Right next to that, we have this epic Scooby-Doo Christmas jack-in-a-box. He pops out of there and scares you. It's motion sense. So we got both of these in from the mail series, so thank you guys so much again. On the left there, we have some of the VHS boxes for the, I think they're called Blockbusters. They're these little tiny adorable figures. They're made by Funko. I think they're called Funko Rewinds. I can't even remember what they're called, but they're like these VHS boxes. And I'm sure you remember having these. This is a belly washer right here. Scooby-Doo belly washer. We have a Mystery Machine Christmas ornament, and one of my favorite pieces in the entire collection, this is the Playmobil Haunted Mansion, and I got all of these play sets because I thought they were so cool. This is the Playmobil Mystery Machine. We have all the Playmobil characters of Shaggy, Scooby, Velma, Daphne, Fred. Even got the creeper right there behind the corner, him reaching into the door. You can just really set up your own little Scooby-Doo like mystery and moment with this setup here. I think it's just I love it. It's amazing. And it's of course like, you know, one of the most iconic mansions. You even got it right there in the background there in the creepiest capers VHS. So one of my personal favorite pieces in the collection because it's just so fun. And on top of that, it makes a great shelf piece. So below that, we get to the Funko Pops. We have the original line of the Scooby-Doo Funko Pops. I got all of these like when they came out. These are all like pretty sought after Funko Pops now, but they were just $10 when I picked them up. We got Velma, Daphne, Fred, Shaggy, and then of course Scooby. Then we've got some of the villains there. I got the Creeper there, which is the original Creeper. And then some of these are like the later release villains they did. All from the Where Are You series, of course. And some more of the Playmobil figures. So the Playmobil figures, they came out in mystery bags. bags that you could buy that went with the whole Playmobil setup, and these are all the different villains, and I think that they're so freaking cool. Like, I love the Playmobil series so much. They also did a Playmobil Mystery Series 2, but it wasn't very common here in the US. They released them in Mexico, Canada, the UK, pretty much everywhere but here. I wish I could get those ones in, but I never see them around here. But there are some more Playmobil series, but that is all of them from the original series, and then from the crew, of course, there. Then below this, we have the Hex Girls, of course. In their Funko Pop, we got a couple more Scooby Doo, Scooby Dum, Scrappy Doo, all the different doos down there you can see. And then this is just a big variety of different Scooby Doo figures, whether it be the Ooshie Squishies, the Donald's toys from the Scoob movie, some older McDonald's toys. This one I believe is a talking Scooby Doo. This one is a Scooby Doo like kitchen timer, a Scooby Doo magnifying glass. I probably can't even count how many times I said Scooby Doo in this video, but this is all Scooby Doo figures. And then boom, a blank shelf, a whole blank shelf. You don't know how much this feels strange for me, but it's okay because I know we're gonna fill that up with time, because at one point my entire Scooby-Doo DVD collection was in there, but now my entire Scooby-Doo DVD collection has a new home. So because of that, it's okay. And we'll talk about that setup when we get over there, because that's all new. And then getting down to the bottom here, like I said, we'll talk about these guys. We have the Scooby-Doo blow mold. This came out last year for Christmas. Really cool figure. It's Christmassy. Probably should put this away, but at the same time, come on, he looks sweet. This is a giant Scooby-Doo plushie. What I love about this one is most of the giant Scooby-Doo plushies, they're that crunchy material that you get at like the fair, where they're just like eventually the neck snaps or something starts leaning one way, and they're really light but also awkward. This one is actually inflatable. He's really heavy, but at the same time he inflates, as you can see from the back right here, and he's all plush on the exterior, like the outside of his body, but just the interior that makes him large is inflatable, and it's kind of cool. Like, I haven't really seen a plushie quite like this before, and he fits well. And if you ever need to move him or store him, you can deflate him and he folds back up into a really small form factor. And you compare that to, again, those like fair plushies and stuff, they're a lot more easy to work with. I did have one of those fair plushies in here for a long time, but I much prefer this inflatable Scooby, and I got this at the thrift store for like $5. Okay, so then over here we have this guy, which is a Scooby-Doo trick-or-treat bucket. So he is really cool. I picked him up last year around Halloween. I think I paid $20 for him. He's supposed to go outside of your door and you put candy in this little bowl here. I wouldn't recommend that. I'm pretty sure he would get scooped up and stolen if I left him out, so I just leave him inside the room here. He's holding a little rainbow Scooby, some bendable figures, and a little Shaggy there, but he's so amazing. I love looking at him so much. Then my friend Mitchell, he got me this guy right here, this rock and roll Scooby-Doo. Really cool little piece here. He has a VHS with him, and of course he rocks out on this little guitar with this little slider here. He's animatronic, so I have him next to my stack of other big Scooby figures here. So we came through here, now we're working onto this wall. Let's do it. I warned you guys this was gonna be a long video, so I mean, I'm having a lot of fun, but at the same time, I hope you guys are ready for it. You grabbed your popcorn, all that stuff. If you have to watch it in parts, you know, in pieces at a time, I totally get it, but you know, if you're here for the whole ride, let me know in the comments down below. Okay, so next up here we have is the regular show stuff, and regular show does not have a lot of merch, so let's take a look. These are all the regular show Funko Pops right there, the original ones. They're all being held up by a single nail. No, I'm just kidding. There's actually like an adhesive that is on the back of those pop protectors, but I just put the nail there as like an extra little bit of like weight support just in case, because those pops, again, I got those all for I think I traded for those pops, and I traded a set that I paid like a little bit over retail for. So I'm glad we have Skips, Benson, Mordecai, Rigby, Muscle Man, the entire original line there. I'd love for them to make more regular show characters, but that's all of the OG ones. Then up here we have a comic book of regular show #1. We've got the regular show movie, the regular show party pack. Yeah, it is. And then next to that, we've got a regular show mug, some of those hideous action figures that they released and even made fun of in the show. We have Kid Robot versions of them right there, Ace Balthazar, a regular show lunch tin. And then this is a really weird item that, like, I've never actually seen another one of these before. This is a regular show, like, summertime style boombox, a CD player. Like I said, I've never seen another one of these ever go up for sale. I just found it randomly on eBay one night, and it just just came up and I bought it, and that was the end of it. I haven't seen another one since. One item that's really iconic and probably one of the more popular regular show pieces of merch that people go after is this right here, the golf cart. I did look for this one and I did pay up quite a bit to get this golf cart. I don't even want to say how much I paid for this golf cart because it's kind of embarrassing, but I love it and that's what matters. So this is a sealed version of the regular show golf cart. Really cool. I mean, this is, again, another like character that's like a mascot of a show without it even being a character, is the golf cart. Like, you know, that's the start and the vehicle of so many amazing regular show episodes. And throughout the room we have some other regular show stuff. We have some smaller things. We have a Rigby plushie up there. On my desk right here, my background is actually the park from regular show. And we have Rigby right here sitting on the arm for my monitor there. In this little tiny hole here, there's Mordecai. And then coming down here though, we have a bunch of little figures. We have DJ Khaled, Big Flex, Johnny Test here. We have some We Bare Bears posters. We have some more of the Kid Robot Cartoon Network figures. These two little danglers from Codename Kids Next Door. This whole little set of these Cartoon Network, like, you know, I guess you'd call them like snap and pose like figures. Really cool set though, because it represents so many different shows in one little lineup here. We got the Wile E. Coyote hanging out here. He's not the hero that the Cartoon Network room deserved, but he's the one we got. So we have him in the metallic version too. We have Aku and Samurai Jack soda boxes there, as well as Samurai Jack and Aku. We have a Samurai Jack comic book, which this came in our mail series. We have the Batman Beyond Batman. Although he is technically, you know, I don't have a lot of superhero characters, but he was on Warner Brothers, came on right after Pokemon. So I watched a lot of Batman Beyond growing up. So yeah, I had to have one little representation of him. I have it right here at this pop. One of my favorite like sick day cartoons to watch, like if I stayed home from school because it was still on TV, was Baby Looney Tunes. We have Baby Tweety, Daffy, and also Sylvester. And I got these guys from one of those like plush bags as well too, that I paid like $4 for the whole bag, and it was filled with a bunch of different plushies, and I got all three of them here, and they're some of my favorite pieces here. Then next to that we have a copy of the Bob's Burgers comic book, and to be honest, this Bob's Burger, I paid $15 for it. I was looking for this comic book back in the day. I still collect comic books to this day, but I was collecting them way heavier in like my early 20s, like when I was like 20, 21, and I was just looking for Bob's Burgers #1 so I could read it, because I was a little bit late to its release. So I think they were already in like issue 5 or 6 by that point, but I just wanted to read the comic, and I was like, dang, I can't find #1. And then I eventually went to a comic book store that had #1, but it was this variant cover right here, which if you guys don't know what a variant is, in modern comic book releases, we deal with these things where they release not only one copy of the book, but they release 5 variant covers, a virgin cover, which is without the coloring, a sepia version. They release like 10 versions of the same comic. So that is one of those covers. And I knew that it was like, you know, kind of a rare cover for it. So I just left it. I was like, oh, well, I have to find another one, but I'm going to pick this one up just in case. And I inevitably did find another copy of Bob's Burgers #1. I have that in one of my comic book totes. But come down the line, this is like one of the most sought after Bob's Burgers comic book covers that there is. Like, it's in the hundreds of dollars for this particular cover for Bob's Burger #1. I never anticipated it. I just randomly got it, but I do love myself some Bob's Burgers, so I just have it on display here. Then we have the Funko Pops here. I mean, there's too many to even name off, but you guys can see all of the different characters. I do have a video going over my entire Cartoon Network Funko Pop collection. Newer additions would be Space Ghost here. That's a newer one, but many of them you can see in that video showcasing the entire collection. I'll just scan through them so you guys can, you know, take a look and pause it if you guys want to at any of them. It's not in any particular order. It's just kind of in here in their own different ways. Some of them are blocked by Scoobies and stuff like that. But yeah, there's just a bunch of them. We even got some Bakugan ones down there because yeah, that was on Cartoon Network. Some Looney Tunes. It's just a huge variety. But once you get to the top of this wall, we have the maps for the Cartoon Network Hotel. So again, just like with the Garfield map, when I went to the Cartoon Network Hotel, they gave us these maps to look through to kind of, you know, show us where everything was, where the rooms were, which this was my room over here, and also all the different locations of stuff. And I decided just as a memory of it and be able to remember the the location as I remembered being there to put up the maps. And this is a map of the interior. At that time, they were doing a scavenger hunt, a Craig of the Creek scavenger hunt within the hotel. They also came out with these maps of the inside of the hotel. So I was really lucky to be there during that time. So I picked up both of these maps here. And I almost forgot these guys. We also have Robin and Red X. I always thought Robin was just like the sickest guy ever as a kid. So I only have the action figures for both him and of course his alias Red X here. And we have some regular show keychains that I got on Amazon back in the day for like $5. And a little high five goes too. And then this is a Tom and Jerry movie ad that I stole from the Walmart. Like it was on display and they were throwing it away, so I just took it. Okay, so now for this is all new, all new. This is a mystery machine on my roof. And it is officially licensed. Yes, it is not just like something I made. Well, I did make it partially. So when you're sitting on the desk here, you got your mouse, you know, your accessories. You have this TV right here where I watch Scooby Doo. And then if I look up from my Scooby Doo collection here, the mystery machine is above us. And this was actually a display that they released at Spirit Halloween. It was on the wall, kind of advertising the Scooby Doo costumes and stuff. And I took it down and I had them, you know, set it up, and it was made out of cardboard and it was really, really fragile. So what I did, and this is also an update for the people that have been watching the show for a long time here, what I did with that display was I took the front part of it off because the cardboard was just not really allowing for it to have a long life. So I wanted to make it have a more permanent usage and kind of preserve it in the best way I knew how. So what I did was I plastered the whole thing onto a wood board, and if you look there, all of the edges are actually not touching the outside. So if you were to take the sign down or set it down for any period of time, it would not be actually making any contact with the actual cardboard of the sign. But not only did I do that, the thing has been completely epoxied. I mean, if you spilt a cup of water on that, it would be fine at this point. I did everything I could to possibly preserve the actual mystery machine itself the best that I could, because I could have kept the display the way in which it was, but it was just like every single time moving it, trying to get it mounted, every single time we would have moved it, it would have lost less and less of itself. And now it actually gets to have like a full-blown like sign level display being up there like this. So I love it. And you know, I didn't want, you know me, like I said, I'm a Maximus, I didn't want to take up any wall space where I could put shelves, so I just said, let's just put it on the roof. So this is by no means done. We still need a lot more Scooby-Doo merch going on these shelves, and I definitely want to put figures and stuff like that along the top of the DVDs here. But this is the stuff that we moved from this section over here without taking too much from these setups. So up here is all mystery machine related stuff. You know, I plan to add more, you know, probably take some, move some, but add more big size mystery machines like these over here. But for right now, I have some of the smaller ones kind of trickled in here because of just, you know, having so much extra space. This is the complete series of Scooby-Doo Where Are You, where it all began, you know, the start of the series, 50th anniversary edition. Some more mystery machines. Of course, you got Shaggy and Scooby right there too. And then this is a little key tag for the mystery machine that I also got at Spirit Halloween that connects with the mystery machine up here. Got another little mystery machine here. This is actually supposed to be moved, but it would just have it there for right now. We have eventually what's going to be set up here as well too, the Scooby Doo mystery machine like style, like Funko Pop. But we have the Mystery Incorporated lunchbox, one of the best Scooby Doo series, and then all of the different Scooby Doo series and movies. And of the almost 50 Scooby Doo movies that exist, I have about 38 of them. So I'm still missing a little like over 10 of the Scooby Doo movies. I'm trying to collect all of them, but every single one of these copies you see here has been acquired secondhand. So, and I'm trying to keep it that way, unless again it's something that comes out while I'm doing this collection and I just want to pick it up brand new, I will. But I'm trying to find those last ones that I need out there in the wild, and hopefully we can do it. So that's what I've got so far. Some of these are also like, you know, mini series that are just kind of like little special discs, like Scooby Doo and the Robots, like a compilation disc of different episodes. And some of them I consider counted by having things like this, like the Scooby Doo almost all complete collection of movies. These are all like the celebrity movies they released and stuff like that. I do have some dual packs like this one here, the Zombie Island and Return to Zombie Island. But my goal is just to get all the movies. So however I can do that first will be better. But if I can find the individual boxes for each movie, that's the goal too. Coming over here, we have the just traditional Hot Wheel for Scooby Doo's Mystery Machine. We have the Mystery Incorporated lunchbox. This was the one they released. I don't know which one came first, but one year they released this one. The following year they released this one, or vice versa. Just, you know, interchange that however is accurate. Over here we have a Scooby Doo alarm clock. It says Howling Hour on there with Scooby and a ghost. We have some Scooby Doo shampoo, which also happens to make a really cool Scooby Doo figure of him as a fireman. And then a Scooby Doo shampoo again of just him as Scooby. And then of course we have my little TV here. It's not like a big crazy TV or anything like that, but I just use it to watch DVDs. I got this TV for like less than like $100, like less than 80 bucks, honestly. I mean, it's just to watch 1080p, just to watch DVDs. And I have my Blu-ray player right here, which I found this at the thrift store for like $5. So, you know, I got a Blu-ray player for $5. Upscales my Scooby Doo DVDs that are only in 480p or 1080p at the most anyway. And then I can watch them right here, and this is where I work. So I'm just like working on stuff, editing different things. And then on top of that, I can watch my Scooby right here, which of course is muted right now for copyright. And then right here we have a Scooby Doo train set. This is here because I just picked this up recently and I'm still debating on whether I want to open this up and put the train set like on the shelf somewhere, like where I can just kind of like roll across, you know, the TV section here, or if I want to keep it in the box. I'm just debating it. So for now it's sitting there and then we'll work our way down here. Again, you guys saw my desk set up here. I got this little tiny fan that I use that really isn't enough for the heat here in California. I'm actually considering getting a bigger fan, but I thought this little fan was gonna cut it. We got my Funko Pop here along with my spirit animal there, Daisy. And then over here we have, like, you know, my keyboard, you know, kind of the boringier stuff. These glasses that are supposed to keep away like blue light, but I'm pretty sure don't do anything. There's no scientific proof that they do anything, but I still hope. So it's hard to believe we already covered this, all the way to this. So I guess now we're making this last little curve here to back to here. So let's go ahead and check this out. So there is some Cartoon Network stuff in this side of the room and some other miscellaneous stuff, but it's gonna get heavy Pokemon as we get into this section over here. But I think it's gonna be awesome. So let's get into it. Here is a closet, and this is just filled with, like, you know, stuff for storage, boxes for things that are, you know, out here. But on this wall here, we have one of my favorite characters from all of Pokemon. I'm gonna try my best to get the glare off, but it's gonna be rough either way. We have N right here, and down here we have N, but in the game this is called Black and White, and I thought this was the perfect character to represent the Cartoon Network room, and also kind of, you know, again, this is kind of the divide line here between the Cartoon Network and then the Pokemon side. Black and White, and then of course, you know, Black and White is kind of our main Cartoon Network colors. But I also love the game Black and White, so you have him with Rishram right here. So depending on what game you play, you will either have Rishram or Zekrom, and N will have either Zekrom or Rishram. I personally am a Rishram fan, and it's such a beautiful piece right here. This was done by Ken Sugimori, and he is kind of the main guy. I mean, like, he designed a lot of the original Pokemon artwork that we all grew up with. So these were limited to only 50 pieces. Their second edition, they did one set that was the first edition that was only one of 50 pieces, and I don't even believe that those were available to the public. And then the second series they dropped in the Pokemon Center, and then they released the second edition on the Pokemon Center. Again, only 50 pieces were released, so really small quantity was dropped, and I'm so glad that I was able to pick up these ones. They all sold out remarkably fast, but I mean, as fast as you'd imagine 50 pieces could go in the Pokemon Center. So I was very fortunate enough to get the ones that I wanted into the collection. And many of you guys may know my favorite type of Pokemon in the entire game, our whole franchise, is the ghost type. So this is a line of different prints that they released on the Pokemon Center, kind of featuring different ghost type and dark type Pokemon. Of course, we got the classic Mimikyu over there. They're like these like noir, like dark stylistic views of these ghost Pokemon, as well as one dark Pokemon over there with Zora. But again, they're in black and white, so I felt like they fit in really well with like the whole motif of the room here, being that it's Cartoon Network, and you know, the curtains here on the outside of the room. Those are curtains on the outside of the room, by the way. They're on the outside and they're black and white, you know, checkered pattern for Cartoon Network. I don't know if I mentioned that. And then of course we have them in here too. These used to be across the whole room. Again, sorry guys, these lights aren't typically here, but these used to be across the entire room, but I found it hard to use my chair because of that. So I just kind of made them around this little setup here. Newer addition here we have is the DVD shelf. So some of these DVDs I don't really plan to keep here forever, but they're just because I didn't, you know, there's nothing else to put here as of right now. Like it's pretty blank if I take off everything that doesn't really need to be here. So it's on there, but like, you know, we just have some of the Cartoon Network, like complete series there. We have Foster's Home, season 1, Cartoon Network, Yuletide Follies, some of the Ed and Eddie compilation disc there, a little compilation Cartoon Network disc. I mean, they kind of just go random. The Teen Titans Go movie. Down here we have just some nostalgic stuff. You know, we have the Land Before Time's complete TV series. We have the DreamWorks holiday films. We have Seth MacFarlane's cavalcade of cartoon comedy. These are like these big boxes of just classic cartoons, you know, because they don't always have like these shows accessible for their complete series, but you can get a lot of different episodes from these like huge classic cartoon compilation discs. Yeah, Betty Boop, Woody the Woodpecker, they have old school Superman, Mighty Mouse. Basically, you know, if you just want that little taste, you know, I'll throw those in the DVD player. You even got Casper the Friendly Ghost. This right here is a really cool packaging. This is the complete film collection of the Pink Panther. It's got this really awesome like foam box for it. Pop it open, it's got all these different discs in there, and then the original animation artwork in there too. And it just continues to unroll. So like I said, try to get as much representation as I can in this room possible. Like, do I have space for a whole Pink Panther collection? No. But do I have space for, like, you know, the complete series of films? Yeah, why not? So I decided to put that in there. You know, I love to save space whenever I can. Rather than having all of the Spy Kids on individual discs, we have this whole trilogy of all the original Spy Kid movies. Don't ask why I have that, but I do. The Family Guy films here. Again, the Shrek complete, all 4 of the original movies. Not really complete anymore now because they're making a 5th. Proud Family, and you guys can see the title. There's a few different ones in here. A couple bootlegs here that we got in from Sergio in our fan mail series, but again, these bootlegs, they don't have their complete series available, so being able to have them in bootleg is the only way. So I'm really happy to have these in here, and I love when he sends those in. Next up here we have, again, I told you they're like the mascots of this room, we have Bubbles here. This is actually a 1 out of 50 artist proof of her figure. They have a regular figure of this one, which is just her, of course, colored, but this is the artist proof that they released with the same line. That's, you know, a lot rarer because of that. And I just think it mixes, again, with the nice like black and white, you know, theme we have over here. There's a lot of color going on, but because of the Cartoon Network vibes, you get the black and white, so her being gray kind of fits in there. Below that, we've got my light switch, you know, which does what it do. We got Alakazam, one of my favorite Pokemon, of course. OG Gen 1, like top tier. We have this little talking Meowth figure that I picked up at the thrift store. And there's like, what else do you put in these little tiny square shelves? I don't know. I just put those on there because they fit. Below this, again, we have so much more space. Like, realistically, I'm probably, these Garfield ones can be moved, but there's nothing else to put there, so for right now, I'm putting them. We have the Garfield movie vinyl album, as well as the Garfield movie Little Golden Book. This is not Nickelodeon's Garfield, so that's why, you know, I don't really mind putting it in here. Below that, this shelf is completely empty, but this is a copy of Bill Hanna's book, A Cast of Friends, a book about the different characters that he had a hand in developing. And it's also signed Best Wishes to Debbie from Bill Hanna. So for those of you guys who don't know, my real name is Debbie, and yeah, Bill Hanna signed this for me. I was there when he released this book, and I was there when he signed it. Absolutely. But then over here we have my GBA sealed collections. These are all cartoon or nostalgia related GBA games. I really love collecting GBA versions of the games because many of you guys that watch the channel know I always say, you know, when it comes to the Switch or the Wii, those boxes being plastic, they all survive pretty well. But the Game Boy games, a lot of times they would end up getting, you know, damaged, crushed. Kids threw them away because they're, you know, they're essentially paper. So I try to get as many of them as I can just to preserve them here in the collection. You'll see a bunch of different series, the Bratz movie, Cartoon Network Raceway or Speedway, Hi Hi Puffy Amiyumi's game, The Phil of the Future, because, you know, we gotta preserve that. the Codename Kids Next Door, Beyblade. I mean, these are all just Zatch Bell, all things I grew up with. So, you know, I wanted to pick up these to put in here. Jackie Chan's Adventures. Down here we have my Wii games. We have Epic Mickey 1 and 2, which probably could be moved to the Disney shelf, but for right now they're fine. We have some PS2 games, some Wii games. Again, some of these are not really in their appropriate spot, but nonetheless, you know, there's nothing else here, so why not? This also too, we have some Cartoon Network games in the Switch. Save the Light along with OKKO's game. Cartoon Network Battle Crashers, which actually has Mordecai and Rigby in it. I mean, this game is terrible, but it's also, you know, cool that they were in a game. We have this weird like collection box here that comes with Aladdin, Jungle Book, and Lion King, the old school games that I believe are with like the NES, and then Sonic Mania as well on the Switch. So, you know, these are all games that I picked up at thrift stores or for like way less than retail, so I just kind of compile them there. And these are actually the last two Scooby Doo video games that they ever made, so, you know, I'm happy to have both those in the collection. These ones I did pay up a little bit for in some cases, but still all were relatively cheap comparatively to where they're going for some of them now. And I would love to add more of these to the collection, but when I was collecting these, I was getting some of these games for like $10 sealed. Now just like a basic like terrible game can be like $20, $30, $40, you know, for it sealed. So I don't add as many of them as I used to this collection, but every now and then I do add one from time to time. Okay, so before we move on to the Pokemon section here, we have some lanyards here. These are all different ones. Bob's Burgers, you got Pokemon, you got Scooby Doo, one from Kmart from when I used to work there. Oh, and I forgot to mention, we got Dipper down there too, but the Disney collection used to be here, so that's why this room was freed up essentially. Oh, and then also I forgot to mention these down here too. So these are all my silver play buttons, because, you know, I do YouTube sometimes. I mean, just have a channel or two or three or four, or I don't know, too many. But going to this wall right here, the back of this door, like I never really open the door, like, and leave it like, it's usually always like this. So I never really realized how uneventful the outside and the inside of this door were. But the only thing I got back here is this clear Digimon backpack. I found this at the flea market with my mom. Really cool little backpack there. Has a little Mewtwo hanging on to it. And then this right here, which contains like all different like Game Boy holders that I've collected over the time. From thrift stores again, flea markets, wherever they come up basically. And pretty much all of them, like this one has my DS in here. This one has some Game Boy games in here, I think. Yeah, so there's like red version. There's like loose games in here. Same thing goes for these ones. I'm pretty sure they have like loose games in there. It's like a link cable you can see peeking out of there. You know, all the stuff that this is actually mine. This is like mine that I grew up with. So this is the only one that I have from my collection here. Has like this little, you know, keychain on there with the babies on there. And that just hangs on the door. You know, every time I get a new one, I just kind of throw it on there. But getting to the Pokemon section, it is a lot. So let's just start with here. This is my Sun and Moon PSA collection here. So these are all cards and pertains to the Sun and Moon era, which will pop up the Sun and Moon games on screen here. So you guys, you know, who don't know what I'm talking about, you know, can see it. The Sun and Moon era was a lot of fun for me. It was like the dawn of my resurgence of adult fandom for Pokemon. So these are all PSA cards of the Rainbow Rares from the Sun and Moon era. During the Sun and Moon era, the Rainbow Rares, like hyper rares they would call them, were like the big cards you would hunt out for, and these are like all the bigger key Pokemon of the Sun and Moon era here in their Rainbow Rare form. So this is kind of a whole, like, this whole display is kind of an ode to the Sun and Moon era. Also the era where they released my second favorite Pokemon of all time, Mimikyu. I even got the Sun and Moon DS right here. You can see the box for it. I think you'll see that a little bit later here. This is the travel guide, this travel journal for the Alola region, as well as this little Pikachu amiibo. This is a Halloween box set. I just love the box, so I didn't want to throw it out, but this is just like a, you know, a advent calendar for Halloween. They had a bunch of different Pokemon characters inside of it. Down here, these are all different Pokemon tins. So these are Kyogre, Groudon, Rayquaza. You have Latios, Yveltal, Deoxys. Down there, we've got Yveltal, we got a Shining Gyarados, Ho-Oh, just different Pokemon TCG tins that I just like the artwork of, so I stacked them up here. That stack of top loaders is there to keep the door from smacking them, so it doesn't look like it does it, but that actually like creates a little wedge that keeps the door from hitting any of this stuff. So that's why that's there. Little jerry rig setup. Then these right here are the Pokemon Select figure. If you guys have been watching the channel, you guys have seen me grow them from just literally having just like these 2 or 3 here all the way up to here. I've been trying to keep up with the releases. I may be missing like a handful, like 2 or 3 from this collection, but this is from Jazzwares, this line that they release at Target called Pokemon Select. And some of like the bigger legendaries and pseudo legendaries they release in these huge, like I would say like 6-inch, maybe 7-inch form factors. And I think they're some of the most articulate and beautiful like regular release figures you can get. So I've decided to pick up as many of them as I can, and I would love for this one day for this whole wall to just be filled up with those Select figures and to see all the different Pokemon in them. But so far these are all the ones that I have, and again there's only like 2 or 3 that I don't have, so it still wouldn't take up the whole wall, but I hope they continue that line. But then on top here we have Dialga and Palkia, and they're sitting on top of a new 3DS, and that has a cover on it of Groudon, and on the other side is Kyogre. The only thing about the Kyogre side is you can see the battery, so that was kind of a weird design choice, but you know, it's still sick. But we got Dialga and Palkia, little mini figures sitting there. We also have the starters from the 4th gen too, with Piplup, Chimchar, and Turtwig. This is a pack of Brilliant Stars. It's in French. I just thought it was really cool, so I just have that up there. I didn't really have another place for it, so I just put it here. Then over here we've got Alakazam again. I love Alakazam. We got Charizard right there in his Jazzware figure. We have the OG. You guys, I'm sure somebody here in the comments had one of these old school gold card Pokeballs on screen here. Everybody had it. Like at least you knew somebody who had one of those cards. This is the original boxed one for Charizard, of course. Charizard Funko Pop. This is just that figure, but loose. We got this in one of our mail series videos, so I decided to throw them up on a shelf. We got Charizard there. One of those Kellogg's Pikachus I just showed you. Then these were released on the Pokemon Center. These are the Gallery DX figures, and they're just like cool little vinyl figures of the different characters. So you have Charizard there, Blastoise, we got Mewtwo, Lucario, and then also we got Greninja. Just some of the most like popular sick Pokemon they made these figures for, of course. But I have them all in the boxes here just to kind of keep them preserved so they don't get all dusty. And they also look sick in a little stack there next to the rest. Then another non-licensed item. This is a Pokemon sign. I actually got this as a gift from my friend Parker. He got this at a place we have around here called Frankensons. They do like 3D printing and stuff like that, and they made this giant Pokemon sign for me, and it looks perfect here, like in the setup with everything, you know. And then below that we have all of the starters from Generation 1, even in every version of them, even the Let's Go Pikachu, Let's Go Eevee. You got Squirtle, Charmander, Bulbasaur, and then in Pokemon Yellow, you got Pikachu, and then in Let's Go Eevee, you got Eevee, so have all of them up there. Then probably one of the most nostalgic sights for me is this right here. This is the complete series of base sets. So these are the original Pokemon cards that I grew up opening. These are the cards that you were hoping for. I mean, this was the main guy you were hoping to pull. They're all in PSA 9 condition. It's like as high as you can get to make them mint, but without them being a 10. But at the same time, they were really hard for me to actually eventually get all of them. So they're all in this glass case here. I always have a huge place in my heart for this particular set, these 16 cards. Love, love, love that whole display right there. And I could have gone with like a black, you know, like shell like this one has right here. But I personally love, like, you know, the wooden display case. You know, like back when we were kids, you know, it wasn't like so minimal and like edgy to make everything like black and sleek. Like, you know, all of our like parents had these like wooden display cabinets where they had like their little china or little like mini like, you know, glass figurines and stuff. So I wanted to give it a very nostalgic vibe. So that's why I went with the wooden frame for it. But then coming down here on this shelf over here, like I said, we have one of those original Pokedexes from back in the day by Hasbro. This was like one of the goal items as a kid to have, so I'm happy to have this one. I actually didn't have this one as a kid. I had like the Pokeball version that like did like trivia, but I always wanted this one, so now I have one, even though it's sealed. Then we have a little poster here for the Pokemon movie, for the advertisement that they had at Burger King. It's for the movie coming out on VHS. Of course, that'll always be classic artwork for the Pokemon First movie. Coming down here, we have Mewtwo himself is the giant size Funko Pop. We have a little 25th anniversary silver Pikachu. Then we have this Shining Rayquaza. This is part of the Hidden Fates Pokemon card series. They released this giant box that came with this Rayquaza statue in the middle. And I also have the PSA 10 Shining Rayquaza card sitting in the middle of that, as well as my 3 favorite Pokemon games of all time, Pokemon Sapphire, Emerald, and also Ruby, kind of circulating around him so I can grab any of those copies whenever I'd like to play them. I do have them in this display cabinet too, but I also have all the games loose because I just don't want to have to open those boxes all the time whenever I want to play one. And plus they have battery issues and stuff, so it makes it easier to be able to replace them. I also got this in as well, which is this little Pokemon like mini Game Boy with Pikachu in it. It's like a little Pikachu like mini game that Nintendo released in Japan. It's kind of tucked back here, but just wanted to share it with you guys. And some more card stuff. We have the Japanese Shining Stars booster box. We have another one right there for, I think, Tag Team All-Stars. This one's for Hidden Fates. Coming down here, these are the Pokemon terrariums. I have a series on my channel of trying to collect all of these different terrariums, and I got quite a lot of them. They are really cute. They're basically these little tiny worlds for each Pokemon and what you can imagine maybe their world would be like inside of the Pokeball. So I have all those there, and then behind that, these are A Day with Pikachu. There was a period where Funko was releasing these every 2 months for about a year. No, it was every month. Yeah, it was every month for a year because I have 12 here. So every month of the year they released a different Pikachu that had a different theme based off the month that it was, and slowly acquired all of those, and I just have the memory of trying to get one each month, and some of them selling out faster than others, and just trying to race to get them before they were gone. Some more of those terrariums there, and I could talk about each of these terrariums for so long because they're really perfect encapsulators of the different Pokemon, because some of them are like direct references to the games, and they're just perfect little capsules of that memory. But you know, that's a whole different video probably. We have the, and then after the Day with Pikachu, they released the Eevee and Friends, and again, every month they released a different one. So I also collected all of those, and they did another one after that, but I started feeling like I was chasing the wind, so I just stopped at the Eevee set. Also got all of these starter Pokemon here for the Silver 25th anniversary for Pokemon. And as well on all of these shelves, you'll see some of the Mega Evolution PSA cards. So these are just multiple different Mega Pokemon. I'm a huge fan of the Mega Evolution gimmick that they released in some of the later Pokemon games from like X and Y and upward. So these are just those Mega Pokemon in their PSA versions. And then we also got Kyogre. I actually just recently got this at a thrift store. Just picked him up, you know, Kyogre just chilling. Okay, so then there's so much to talk about. So then next up here we have my Gengar shelf, or I would just say like a ghost / psychic theme shelf, because there's a lot going on here. But on the top there we have the Shining Gengar plush they released in the Pokemon Center. Classic Gengar. This is a Hidden Fates pin box set they released. A Dusk Ball right there, which if you play Pokemon, you know helps to catch Pokemon in the dark. So, you know, I thought it was fitting. Another one of those Halloween sets back there. I think that's what I'd like to do with that one, but I just don't have the patience to try to get back there right now and put it back there. We have another Pokeball hidden right there behind this Gengar Mood Light. This right here is a Gengar lawn ornament. You're supposed to put this in your front yard as like an ornament, but I would never do that. It's just a really cool Gengar statue though, with him with the lamppost there. And also to connect with that artwork that you guys saw over here, they released statues for them too. They released statues of all the different characters. They were like $60 each though, so I only got the one that I wanted the most, which was Mimikyu. Then next to that we got the Mewtwo Funko Pop. We have the Mewtwo and Mew. During the tag team era, they released cards that had 2 Pokemon on one teamed up as a duo, and this is Mewtwo and Mew tag teamed in a card here, so thought that was a fitting card to go in this place. And I actually pulled, and many of these cards you see here PSA'd, I pulled those cards and also got them graded, besides like some of the vintage ones like these, or you know, and these ones over here I did buy a few of them to complete the sets, but a lot of them I did actually pull those cards and get them graded myself. So I have those memories with them as well. Then over here we have a bunch of different booster boxes for different sets, as well as some minifigures that came with some of the you know, the different sets that release minifigures in the boxes. Then the Gengar shelf, my personal favorite. We have multiple different Gengar figures here. We have a Sabrina card back there. We have my favorite Pokemon card of all time, so will always be forever. We have Sabrina's Gengar, just a beautiful piece. He just looks so demented, but also awesome and mischievous. Just a really cool, sick card. And like I just said, I mean, there's so many different cards, but this I think will always just be my favorite artwork. They still haven't done anything to top this yet. I mean, they've gotten close. They've gotten close with the Mimikyu tag team cards. I mean, come on. Some people might say this one's better, but I guess it's the nostalgia for that one that connects for me. I mean, they've definitely gotten close with some of the more recent cards that are just absolutely gorgeous. But again, this is a really cool figure here. Some more of those terrariums there, but these are like a ghost Pokemon, of course, and a psychic type. But again, I without mentioning every little thing here, you guys can see all the different pieces there. We also got the next shelf over here, which is the tag team build and battle box, a complete set of them. There's like 10 boxes inside of that one box. We have the Phantom Forces ETB. This is a Phantom Forces booster box. This is kind of a whole set themed around Gengar, so I wanted to get those ones, of course, to kind of blend in with the rest of the collection here. This is one of those DX statues here, but just out of the box for Gengar. A bunch of different Gengar cards here, and I mean, there's so many Gengar cards. I have a whole binder of Gengar cards that I could probably get into without it, but this would just be a Pokemon video at that point. It's a whole binder of just Pokemon Gengar cards. There's some other Gengar ones here, Darkrai, other ghost type Pokemon that are graded as well. But we have this adorable, this amazing Gengar plushie here. We have the Battle Fiesta card here. This is the base set Shadowless for Ghastly there. I mean, just a lot. Just a lot going on there with Gengar, of course. Even got some little figures hidden up here too from the Metallic series. Okay, so then going down here, we have this Gengar Jack-O-Lantern they released in the Pokemon Center, a Darkrai box, a Shining Darkrai box. Darkrai is my favorite legendary Pokemon, so, or mythical, I guess, technically. Down here, we have some Mimikyu stuff. These are very incompleted shelves because I just have some stuff that I have to get out of one of my storage spaces to fill them in a bit more, but I also like to leave a little room in case we find any additional stuff. Like, we just recently got this guy, and he takes up like a bunch of space. This is the Gengar Squishmallow they released. My new favorite villain in Pokemon, we have two Volo cards there. This is, I think, a tag team of Sableye and Tyranitar. And then, you know, like I said, the Mimikyu's there as well too. And then we got the crew, which is like, you know, if I could pick 6 Pokemon, I guess, to hang out with, to have as a little like 6-party team, it would be these guys. So these are all of the jumbo size plushies they released at GameStop, Target. Different ones had different like plushies, but they were all exclusive to different stores. So it took me a while to acquire all of them. These are like my babies, essentially. You know, I sit down here, I read my Scooby Doo books, and I'll use Bulbasaur's head as a pillow a lot of times. You know, Mimikyu is just one of my favorites because this is essentially life size. I like to believe that all of these are pretty much like life size, except for maybe Gengar would be bigger. But yeah, they're just like my gang here that hangs out here and kind of protects the Pokemon setup. Okay, and then down here, it's kind of a little hidden, so I had to move some of the guys here. We have the Brilliant Diamond and Shining Pearl Switch. That is a sealed one right there. I also have a sealed Nintendo Switch Lite because I went to a GameStop where they were closing and it was 50% off, so I was like, I guess. That is the Sun and Moon DS I was talking about. Sorry, that shelf is so dusty. It's bothering me just looking at it there, sorry. The Sun and Moon DS I was talking about. This is my Switch for Pokemon Sword and Shield. We got Zacian and Zamazenta there. And there was a point in time where I was trying to collect every Switch controller that they released that had Pikachu on it. And I was keeping up for a while, but then man, they just never stopped. They never stopped. So I gave up. I gave up and I was like, you know what? Like as I said earlier, you're chasing the wind sometimes. You have to just call it quits when you realize it is just getting out of hand. So I filled up this little setup here and I was like, okay, well, that's all my Switch controllers I'm getting. So these are all different brand new Pikachu themed Switch controllers. Who knows, maybe when they're all out at a later point in life, I would try to continue that, but for right now, I'm taking a break. So, there's nothing in this shelf right here, but that's because there was something in that shelf. It was like a figure that I had in there, but it kept getting knocked over because of the plushies, so I just left it empty until I get something that's like a really heavy set to go down there. Right here, we have a classic Nintendo Game Boy e-reader, as well as the Game Boy camera for the 4 people that use that. We have the Psychic Surprise VHS. This is a custom made by one of you guys in the rep pack, Gengar purple version. Behind that we have the original Game Boy Game Shark. Have a Darkrai shelf there with the old tin, a blister pack, a little Pokeball of the Darkrai in it. Gengar, as well as a Gengar from X and Y still in the box. We have a Gengar little spin top from Kellogg's too. These mini tins with Origin, Kyogre, Groudon, and Rayquaza. We have a sealed copy of Pokemon Silver there, as well as Pokemon Crystal Crystal. One of my favorite games as a kid was Pokemon Crystal, so I have that one there. Next to Pichu, who was released in that generation. Have a little Alakazam set up here with his PSA card, which I again pulled that when I opened that card and got that one. And then we also have his Funko Pop. Okay, we're almost to the end here, guys. So next up here we have, as of right now, and I'm hoping to maintain this, every single Pokemon mainline game ever released in the collection. So I want to feature this one since it's up here because it's not actually in this case. We have Pokemon Let's Go Pikachu and Let's Go Eevee in their big box versions that came with the Pokeball. There's a huge variety of tins there that kind of coincide with the, you know, the plushies that we have down here. So we have Charizard, Blastoise, Venusaur, some ETBs that you can barely see, but they're back there. I just felt like I put them up there so that way, you know, there wasn't just blank space. But then opening this up, which I rarely ever do, we have a bunch of Pokemon stuff. So these are these ridiculously fragile like hard resin figures, and they have all the different versions of Charmander up until Gigantamax Charizard. So we have Charmander, Charmeleon, Charizard, then we have Mega Charizard Y, Mega Charizard X, and then of course the big daddy of them all, Gigantamax Charizard. So that's all of them. The only one I need now is a terastallized Charizard because that is the newest version of Charizard to add to the collection here. And what I would love to do at some point, if I have the time or the space, is to add a Charcific Valley as the backdrop for this shelf. But these are really fragile, and I prefer, to be honest, I prefer like vinyl figures like these because they're like, you know, like they're a lot less fragile and they don't break as easily. I kind of in some ways hate these statues because most people that collect them, their whole collections are just filled with a bunch of broken ones that have been glued back together because they're so easy to break. I'm so fortunate that none of these have broken yet, but I've had several of them that did break. So, you know, I dread the day I have to move these guys. And also hidden in there, we have a Pokemon Fire Red version in this little volcanic crumble here. Again, they're beautiful figures. They're just really hard to collect. So below that, like I said, we have every single mainline Pokemon game ever released. So that starts with Pokemon Red here, goes all the way through, and these are all complete in box, all the way up until Pokemon Emerald. And then that resets again over here at Pokemon Pearl and goes all the way down to Black and White 2. And then coming down from there, that would bring you into the X and Y generation, Sun and Moon, Omega Ruby Alpha Sapphire, Ultra Sun, Ultra Moon, then the Switch, and then we even have the ones that were supposed to be only downloadable, the 3DS versions of Silver, Gold, and Crystal. But then that brings you to the Switch, where you've got Let's Go Pikachu all the way up until Brilliant Diamond and Shining Pearl. And then that brings you up to, and there's in the mix of these, you can see there's special versions, dual packs, all that kind of stuff. But I'm just trying to focus on like the games themselves. And then that brings you, of course, all the way up until Scarlet and Violet. These are the special copies that came with the DLC to the Hidden Treasures of Area Zero. I have the dual pack. I try to get as many versions of them as I possibly can. But again, I'm not going to mention every single, like, you know, dual pack, special pack, you know, figure pack versions that they release because there's just too many to cover. And down here as well, there's some other stuff too. We have an e-reader, some more like Pokemon blisters, and some other versions of Switch games. This is just a Violet that I played, so some of those ones are sealed. You know, Violet that I've been recently playing, Pokemon Snap that I haven't finished yet. This random Red Stripe Hidden Fates pack, because it was just such a funny memory getting that one. This is the Alola Passport. This is your passport in the Alola region, so really cool. Again, I have a lot of fond memories of Alola region, so I have that. This tin is filled with more Pokemon cards and stuff, but a really beautiful piece there with Rayquaza and Deoxys fighting on it. We skipped some shelves, so we'll come back up here. So these are all different, like, you know, kind of like the chase cards of different Charizards from different sets throughout history, essentially. It's by no means all of them, but it's a lot of them. So those are all there, you guys can see. If I were to pick a favorite one on this setup here, it'd probably be this one right here. That was a redone version by the same artist that made the original Charizard base set card here. He made the original Charizard base set, and then in this series Stormfront in 2008, he redid it, and I just love the artwork on it. The shading on it is really cool. I think I kind of prefer the original artwork a little better, but I just love that he revisited such an iconic card, so that would probably be my favorite of the ones that I have there on display. And you get to see all the eras. There was a point where they were doing like kind of like 3D modeling cards, you know, and doing like, you know, switching up of the typings, again 3D. Like they've done so many different things, so cool to see the different versions. And we have every single color of the Game Boy Color, as you guys can see here too. I even have the atomic purple one, but it's just not in this display case because I wanted to put the Pokemon one in here. But as you guys know, many of you probably already know this, but when you look at the Game Boy Color logo, the word color in Game Boy Color was made those colors because those are the colors that came out for the Game Boy Color. So they're actually in the correct order to make the Game Boy Color logo there. Then below this, we have some booster boxes. This is Pokemon Snap on the Nintendo 64. This is the reprint they made called CP6 of the original Pokemon booster box they released in Japan. This is an Eon ticket, which is something that helps you. If you're a Pokemon fan, you know what an Eon ticket is. There's the black and white DSi. And then, of course, these are the original cards here. So these are the original booster boxes for the 3 first series of the Pokemon card game. So within these 3 boxes, you could acquire all 151 Pokemon, besides like, you know, the promo card Mew, and like certain characters were only promo cards, but all of the main Pokemon you could acquire through these 3 boxes right here. And then I have one of each of the pack arts that's inside of the boxes, so that way, you know, there's never any temptation to open them up to see the cards, because, you know, I have all the cards already. And if I want to see the pack arts, they're right here. You can see the back side of them, and like, you know, all of that history just encapsulated within them. And that pretty much covers it. I mean, there's some more. These are all cards that I need to get PSA'd already. I mean, this goes back to even further, but these are all cards I need to get PSA'd. There's some more PSA cards in here too that I just need to check out. And yeah, this is just some of the stuff, and some of this stuff, like these ones, are probably going to be going in my storage space. I don't really keep all of them here, and these right here are actually just the boxes that are just with the plastic wrap still on them. I have the, you know, the original still in my storage space, but I still like the appeal, and I know that I have them, but at the same time, just to keep everything safe for the most part. So yeah, that's pretty much everything in here, and I wanted to be as in-depth as I possibly could to share. I'm literally sweating. There was so much stuff to go through, and it's so hot in here right now. Hit the like button if you guys haven't already. I know this video is going to be super long, probably. We're going to try to cut down some parts of it a little bit, but, you know, I wanted to cover everything as in-depth as I possibly can, so that way, you know, we can explore if you ever want to explore this room and get to see everything for what it is. We have plenty of shots in here and different stuff, so you guys can always come back to this video to explore it, and new people that are on the channel, they can come watch this video and, you know, kind of get an idea of what's going on here. I've got to do another one of these for the cavern very, very soon here. I do want to complete some other projects in there before we do the one for the cavern, but we will definitely be doing that there as well too. And yeah, it'll probably be at least another year and a half, 2 years, however long I feel like is a good amount of time before I do an update, you know what I mean? Like if I end up moving, you know, before that time, of course I'll do one more before I leave, like kind of like a goodbye tour of this particular room. But if not, then maybe like in a year and a half or whatever, I'll do an updated version of this. But, you know, I just, for right now, this is where it's at, so I wanted to cover it as well as I could. I'm so sorry if I'm a little bit tired here, guys, but just my throat is just like, I need water. But thank you guys so much for watching this video. If you guys enjoyed it, hit the like button, subscribe if you're new. Also, I probably should mention I'm filming this at like 1 a.m. so that probably is a part of it. But I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you guys did, hit the like button, subscribe if you're new here. If you guys haven't already, make sure you guys go check out the Patreon where you guys can sign up. It's only $2 a month and helps make this show possible and keeping us dropping new videos every other day. You get an extended version of this video and every other video that I upload here on YouTube. And if you haven't already, you can also go check out our Whatnot stream where I'm live every single Friday, 5:30 Pacific Standard Time. Come hang out with us. We do giveaways every single day, and you get 15 bucks for free when you sign up, so that link's down below too. But before we completely head out of here, you know the drill. Stand it! hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you guys did, check out this video right here on your screen. I know you're gonna love it. And as always, Rep Pack, thank you so much for watching this video. I hope you guys enjoyed this tour. If you guys did, leave me a little thumbs up, comment down below, just for me in particular, just letting me know you watched the whole video, because I know it's gonna be long, and I hope that you stuck through it with me. If you did, big thumbs up to you, and thank you. And I'll see you guys in the next one. Adios and bloop.